you guys. I hope those of you that are in here, I hope you saw the chainsaw at the beginning because I've taken it off and put the regular stinger on for the remainder of the show. Only because I have discovered, maybe it's something that I'm doing wrong, that when I use a different stinger that's a little bit longer, even though I shorten the video of the chainsaw animation, um, it starts over my Deadites on Deck music, which is great music, but it sort of makes things kind of funky when I go to live view. So I hope you saw the chainsaw animation at the beginning, because now I'm just going to use the regular stinger when I'm transferring back and forth. But we do have some lovely Texas sunflowers, evidently, because I was looking for Texas landscapes to have behind me tonight. And this was something that came up. And so I thought, oh, that's nice. We'll just use that. So we pretty much have a panorama of Texas sunflowers and evidently a Texas sky. So you can enjoy that behind me. Um, let's see. X-Ray, you say, can't wait to talk about the best installment of the series, Next Generation. We are going to talk about Next Generation. The only ones we're not going to talk about is the horrible 2022 version and any of the remakes. Um, and really, I'm not going to talk about Texas Chainsaw, even though I don't really hate that one, but, uh, you know, it doesn't really, to me, fit in with the rest of these that I'm going to talk about. So the ones we're going to talk about tonight are the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, TCM2, Leatherface, and the Next Generation. So we're only going to cover 4. And unfortunately, I couldn't find my DVD of the Next Generation, so I don't have an actual visual for that. But we're still going to talk about it, even though I don't have a visual. Dirk, you say y'all know their last name in 74 TCM is Slaughter, huh? Texas, you say Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space. Old Curly Jaws is writing a script, and I'm hoping Old Curly Jaws is in here tonight because he'll of course add a little spice to this stream. And I didn't even know what a coincidence this was. I didn't even know I was going to do a stream on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film series when I put this shirt on. This is my Fright Rags Texas Chainsaw Massacre shirt. So, like I said, that was kind of a coincidence that this is what I ended up covering tonight. And I didn't even know it whenever I put this shirt on. Texas, you say, I thought you were going to say some lovely parting gifts. Yeah. Now, guys, just bear with me because last night I wasn't feeling too great towards the end of the stream. Actually, I wasn't feeling too great the whole stream, but I enjoy doing these streams, and so I just keep pushing on anyway, even if I don't feel the greatest. I did put some makeup on my face this time so I don't look so much like death. But anyway, my fever spiked last night to 103. Woke me up out of dead sleep, feeling feverish, so I went and checked my temp, and that's what it was. So needless to say, I didn't even work from home today. I just called in, and my supervisor, who, like I said before, has been really great with me during this whole thing, said, no worries, you can take a sick day, get some rest. But I don't want to use up all my sick days because I only have 3 sick days, and now I got 2 sick days. So I'm not planning on taking any more in the very near future if I can possibly help it. Yes, Dirk, that is a pretty lady Leatherface. He's got the pretty lady mask. Oh my God, they're starting early. God. This will probably be about 6 of these damn things that come up. I wish that they would leave me the hell alone. So I just like put the user in timeout. Maybe that'll kill that for a little bit. And maybe they won't come back. So, anyway, I'm tired of like 69mega.com and whatever the hell else that they want to put on here. I honestly think, guys, that some of these jokers are subscribing to my channel just to use bots to annoy the hell out of people. You know, Wes always says, you know, you're getting popular when you've got these bots that come in here. I don't know about all that, but it's just, I don't know if they pick up on algorithms or what they do. I don't know how all that stuff works, and frankly, I don't want to know. But anyway, gonna get some housekeeping stuff out of the way before we start. But I did want to warn you that I'm still not feeling great. I may have to get up and get some more ibuprofen. Or if I get to coughing like a fiend, I might have to get up and get some cough medicine. Either or. But I'm sure that you guys will be, you know, lenient with me as long as I come back and finish up the stream. Yeah, horror sex fans, Texas. That's exactly right. Usually, after I put them in timeout and they realize that they can't just do this repeatedly in a small amount of time, they knock on wood, they go away. So I'm doing that instead of just removing them or removing the messages, because it deletes the messages when I put them in timeout anyway. So, I want to get some housekeeping things out of the way first, as usual. As I've said before on my last few live streams, I am soon gonna, the stuff's already up there on my Etsy shop, the Morbid Beauty Boutique, for some Tenebrae shirts, some Tenebrae mugs, Tenebrae tumblers. And I'm hoping to be adding some different designs, you know, some deep red designs, and maybe some Suspiria designs might be in the works. And, you know, once I get a lot of the Giallo stuff on there, I'm going to start branching off into, well, evidently they didn't, that didn't deter them, but I'm going to put them in timeout again. But you guys don't want any girls from 69mega.com, do you? Okay. So, anyway, I'm going to branch out once I get my Giallo images on there, or my Giallo offerings on there. I want to start branching out and doing like slashers and different things, horror related on there. And so, you know, if you're interested in any or all of that stuff, you might want to check out the Morbid Beauty Boutique. There should be a link in the description for this video, as it's been for the last few videos I've done. Also, there is a link to my YouTube channel in case you're interested in subscribing. You don't have to. But I told Steve, he said, maybe you ought to like not have these things every night. I said, but Steve, you don't understand. I get a 2 or 3 new subscribers every time I do one of these. And I'm not trying to get ultra popular or anything, but, you know, if people are interested, maybe I should keep up doing these on a regular basis. And that way I don't lose the audience I already have. And maybe I'll gain a few new audience members along the way. I'd rather say audience than say fans, because I don't think that I should ever refer to the people that come to my live stream as fans, because I'm not as big as like some of these other people. So They can call their audience fans if they want to, but I just prefer not to because I don't think it's right in my case. So, um, Texas, you want to know who made the illustration of you on your T-shirt? Actually, I took a picture of myself with the first mate's pink hat on, turned it into a cartoon or a character image using, I think it was Voila. It's an app for your phone or your tablet or whatever. And then I basically, because I didn't buy the subscription or whatever to the software, there was a little watermark on it. I know this is a long way to tell you this, Texas, but I took the watermark off in Photoshop. And actually, the background, the sea background or the ocean background, I actually was in Voila. And then I added the little hands, the demon looking deadite like hands coming up out of the water. So actually, I'm the one that created that image, and then I put it on T Public, and then T Public actually puts it on the shirts or other things that you might purchase off of T Public. But, I'm probably going to make me some different shirts with different designs at some point, and they will be on my Etsy shop or in my Etsy shop, the Morbid Beauty Boutique. And see if you can say that 5 times fast. Um, Texas, you want an illustration of you? Well, there's a bunch of different apps out there that you could do that with. Voila's one. My profile pic is one. And if you're pretty savvy with photo editing software like Photoshop or some of these other, GIMP is one that's, and I'm not making fun of people when I say GIMP. This is what this software is called. It's like a knockoff Photoshop, and you can work in layers and do a lot of the same things that you can with Photoshop. So if you don't want to spend bukus of money on Photoshop, you can use GIMP, which is a free software. Hello, Menelect. So yeah, if you want to do that, you could certainly use one of those software things, and they really the apps do it really quickly for you. It takes probably no longer than a minute. Sometimes there's ads in there if you're not paying for it, and sometimes it may take a little bit longer, but you get this nice little picture, and then if you've got some photo editing software, um, you can always go in there and take the watermark off and do other things, manipulate it in different ways. But that's an easy way to do a cartoon image of your face. Um, so, Darky say you can't find my store on Etsy. Did you try clicking on the direct link that I have in the description for the videos, Dirk? If that doesn't work to get you there, let me know. I may have to adjust the link. I know a lot of people were having a hard time finding uh, my shop, just going on Etsy and searching for it. So if you try the link, it should get you directly there. But if it doesn't, please let me know. And if that's what you've already tried and you can't get to it, then let me know. I'll take a look at it for you. But I would try the link first in the description for the last few videos that I've done that's not um, if that's not something you've already done. Okay, great, great. So um, that's why I wanted to put those things on there because that's kind of more of a direct way um, to get to a lot of the different stuff. My T Public store front will remain open and active. So there are a couple of different choices on there that you can pick from if you're interested in that. Like I said, I'm going to put some more, hopefully, come up with some more designs for Deadites on deck. Um, Maybe I can be more free, I'm hoping, with the stuff that I put on my Etsy shop as opposed to, um, going through T Public. My Deadites on Deck Facebook page, there's a link to that as well if you're interested in liking that, because that's where I'm doing primarily the promotion for any and all of my live streams. Uh, Again, we're going to have I'm planning on having a Rocktober Blood watch along this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, following Steve's uh, show or his live stream, which will be at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So, right around the time that Steve ends his, I will be on with the Rocktober Blood watch along. And I have a link on the Deadites on Deck page for Rocktober Blood on YouTube, or if you have Shudder, I think it's still available on Shudder. You can watch it either way, and I think you should be able to sync up pretty well. So, Texas, you say, thanks, I'll try. I suck at that kind of stuff. Well, it takes practice. I didn't, I always laugh. I say, I didn't come out of the womb knowing how to do this and that and the other. Just like with learning computers and things like that. I wasn't born knowing how to do all this stuff. It just takes practice. And some people, say they suck at stuff, but the more they do it, they realize that, hey, I don't suck so bad at this. And it becomes kind of fun to be able to create your own stuff. Um, on the, yes, I did what? I don't know what I said. I don't know what I said. Oh, are you saying I came out of the womb knowing how to do this stuff? Yeah, little infant Dana came out of the womb knowing how to use computers and knowing how to do all this stuff. No, I don't think so. Basically, I learned by doing. Just, my IT jobs I've had, that's how I had to learn, was just by doing and asking questions when I get stuck. And Texas, so if you want to try that route and you want to ask me anything about it, I mean, I don't know every single thing, but I could maybe help you out a little bit. Um, Came out of the womb, yes. I came out of the womb. I just didn't come out of the womb knowing how to do all this stuff. It's a learned trait. So, anyway, what was I saying? See, there goes that brain fog again. Uh, oh, I was going to tell everybody that I got, as I said before, I got the heat transfer press in, the Cricut heat transfer press. And, I showed last night the little example that I did just to make sure that I knew how to use the machine whenever I got ready to make the t shirts. Well, here's the deal, the heat transfer press got delivered on Saturday. I was also supposed to get some vinyl transfer material. And I was also supposed to get the little rulers that help you gauge where you need to put the image on the shirts. I was supposed to get those things on Saturday too, but evidently they got lost. So I requested a replacement today, which means I should get the little ruler things tomorrow. Um, and I should get the heat transfer vinyl on Wednesday. So if I'm just letting you know, Dirk, if you order a shirt, because I don't have that heat transfer vinyl right now, it may take an extra day or so for me to get it done and shipped out to you. But I'm sure you've always been understanding about other things, so I'm sure you'll be understanding about that. Um, and if you, I have I currently have some white shirts in large, but oh, you just ordered one, Dirk. So I forgot what size that you said you were, Dirk. Because I'll be honest with you, what I was getting ready to say is, I just I got some white t-shirts, men's t-shirts, in from from Walmart over the weekend. And but they're large, and okay, so 2X. So just be patient with me a little bit, Dirk, because not only will I have to wait for my heat transfer vinyl to come in, I'm also going to have to get some 2X shirts in. Because right now I've only got large, and if you don't want a large, I want to get you the size that you want. Okay. So, well, since you said you just ordered that, I'm going to. Usually I get a notification from Etsy. Ah, which I just did. Did y'all hear the little dollar sign like the cash register? Okay. Oh, I like your picture, Dirk, too. The little profile picture for you. So, once I get all the different materials together and things like that, um, so yeah, I need to come up with some torso and goddamn bob shirts. Now, Texas, I meant to ask you, the goddamn bob, are you talking about, and forgive me for being dense here, is the goddamn bob, the bob you're referring to, is that Bob from the House by the Cemetery, or is that Bob from Gates of Hell or City of the Living Dead? Um, or is this a totally different Bob? Because I thought I knew what you were talking about, but then I thought I better, check with Texas and just make sure. But yes, a torso shirt will be in the works as soon as I can come up with a good design for it. House by the Cemetery. Gotcha. Okay. Um, that clears that up for me. Durkee said, that's fine, no worries. I'm a painter. I have all kinds of patience. Well, I'm glad you do, Dirk. And I will get that to you as soon as I can. So you definitely want it in white and 2X. So um, I'll be completely honest, because I might have to wait till the weekend to get the 2X shirts in. So at the latest, it'll be sometime the beginning of next week. Well, the beginning of next week when I can ship them out. So, and I am going to take your suggestion and put them in the chest area, so it looks like her face is kind of busting out of your chest. So, because I really like that idea, Dirk. And like I said, that I'm making these for fans of these movies, not fans of mine, but fans of these particular movies. So, any suggestions or encouragement or any of that stuff that you can give me, to guide me through this, um, I will be more than happy to do that. I mean, when you pay $15 for a shirt and you're paying almost $6 for shipping and sales tax $1.96, I think that you should get a product that you like. Um, you say no one likes that little prick. Hey, I like Bob. I like Bob. But I would be happy to make a goddamn Bob shirt for you. And we need some goddamn Bob stickers, I guess. Um, well, you're welcome, Dirk. And I'm really excited about doing these. I'm actually, the large shirts I got, I want to practice a little bit before I actually do one for somebody that's paid me money for it. Um, just because I'm getting my feet wet and getting started using that heat press. And I've never used a heat press. The only thing I've done is like iron on transfers. This is a whole different animal for me because it's vinyl transfers and it's using a heat press instead of an iron. Which, truth be told, when I did this sample one and tried it out, it seemed to be a lot easier than using an iron because basically you're using this press, you're pressing down on the fabric and the transfer. You're just pressing down, you're applying pressure. It's even, there's no rubbing a iron over it or anything like that. So I really like the way that you do this in comparison with the old way. So, with all that being said, and thank you once again for your order, Dirk. I appreciate that a lot. So, with all that being said, we're going to get started with the meat of this live stream. Um, hey, John. Sorry, didn't mean to ignore your chat message up there. You say, hey, all, it's all in the meat, as Drayton says. Exactly. We're going to get started with the one that started it all, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Steve got me this during the time when I was working for the Newburgh branch of the Louisville Free Public Library. I was having a really tough time adjusting to that branch, and I didn't stay there long. I only stayed there long enough to be able to get a clerk position at Fern Creek and go back to Fern Creek. Because Newburgh was not fun. And so I was going through a really bad time. So when this came out on Blu-ray, this is the 40th anniversary collector's edition. Steve got this for me as a gift because I had been having such a rough time. And this is really cool packaging because you can slide that out of there. You can also turn it around and then it slides open like that. So so this is really cool. I am eagerly anticipating being able to get a copy on 4K as soon as I can. But in the meantime, this will suffice. Dirty say, I appreciate you appreciating it, LOL. John, you say TCM1, I think, is the best horror film ever, just my opinion. Texas, you say, I concur, John. Dirk, you say, it's your second favorite film. Yeah, because The Shining was your first favorite. You know, I'm going to say Evil Dead for top horror film, no matter what day or time you ask me. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre is always near the top of my any list that I might have. Did y'all know that one of Steve's favorite films is To Kill a Mockingbird? That just freaking blew me away. After we had been dating for a little while, he let me know this. He's like, yeah, he's like, To Kill a Mockingbird is like one of my all-time favorite films, if not his favorite film. And like I said, I just went, whoosh, because I just could not believe it. Brandon, you say, just tuning in. I prefer to watch this on VHS. The grittier, the better. I live in Texas, and people believe Leatherface is real down here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, even outside of Texas, believe that Leatherface is a real person, or they used to believe that Leatherface was a real person. Evidently, they still do. Darky said, The Shining is number one for me, but huge love for TCM 74. Texas, you say, he is real. I've seen him at Heb. I hope you really didn't see him, Texas. But, so, I remember hearing a lot about this film. Probably when I heard the most about it was around the age of 14. Ed Gein was real. Yes, He definitely was. He was a real monster. Um, so I started, I know I was a little bit of a late bloomer as far as this movie's concerned, but once I started hearing things about it, I was like, I have got to see this movie. So I finally was able to track it down and rented it on VHS. And I understand what Brandon's saying about preferring to watch it on VHS because the grittier it is, the better it is. I get that, and sometimes I like to watch things when they're really, really gritty. But then sometimes I like to watch the Blu-rays and the 4Ks because I want to see the clarity in the films, and I don't feel like you get that clarity with the VHS. And you will never be able to get that clarity with the VHS. And so I totally get the wanting to watch it on VHS and getting that gritty, really nostalgic drive-in feel to it. I mean, uh, I was trying to remember if I've ever actually seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the drive-in. I want to say yeah, but then I'm unsure. So I thought me and Steve did see it one year at the drive-in. I'm going to have to ask Steve to confirm that because my brain is not near, my memories are not nearly as good as they used to be. So I totally get that. I guess my answer, if somebody were to ask me point blank about it, would be I like both. I like to watch them gritty sometimes. I like to get that drive-in feel from them. And then other times, I really want to watch the best possible quality version of the film that I can. So I'm a fan of both types or both prints or whatever you want to call it. John, you say, I firmly believe there's a hitchhiker trying to sell weird Polaroids on a Texas side road to this day. There may very well be. I think there might be some not Texas, in Louisville too. Durkee said, I couldn't watch the hook scene when I was 6 years old on the first watch. I know I've said it before, but TCM and The Exorcist were my first two horror films the same night. That's so wild, Dirk. Texas, you say, I saw it at the drive-in with Purple Rain. Now that's that is one heck of a double feature, Texas. So my first viewing, as I said, was a video rental, a VHS rental, and I was blown away by this film. I'll be honest, it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be because you know how you hear about a film and people tend to embellish it or swear they saw more blood in it than it actually was. Plus, you have a title like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay? So, the most blood that you see in this, in my opinion, is when Leatherface saws up Franklin. And that literally is the most blood I think you see in the entire film. But the film still works. And why? Number one, because of the atmosphere. Nobody can deny that the atmosphere of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the big things that makes this a top horror film for many people. Or maybe just a top film in general. Tobe Hooper knew what he was doing when he filmed this. People can say what they want, that it was just luck, it was a fluke, it was whatever. But I really think Tobe Hooper knew exactly what he was doing and exactly what kind of film he made. And he went to great lengths to make this look as realistic as he could. And that's the number two reason I think it works. Because it is so damn realistic. And in some cases, it was realistic. Marilyn Burns' finger was actually cut in the dinner scene because they kept trying to do, the fake stuff, and they couldn't get get the blood tubing or whatever on the knife to work. So I guess at some point, Toby was like, fuck it, just cut her, you know? And I think everybody is mellowed out about this movie now. And unfortunately, there are some of the people that were major players in this film that are no longer with us. Toby Hooper, the director, being one of them. Marilyn Burns is no longer with us. Uh, Gunnar Hansen is no longer with us. Bob Burns, who did the special effects, some of the special effects stuff, like the dead animals and stuff like that, he's no longer with us. Um, Jim Seedow is no longer with us. I believe Paul Partain has passed away as well. So there are very few people that were connected with the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre that are still alive now. Dark, you say, that's a hell of a double text. Brandon, you say, I wonder if people up north have a phobia of southern people. There's a lot of hillbilly horror films. I think they do. I think they're, northern people are a different breed anyway, because I know people from up north. And some of them are very nice people, but some of them are a little abrasive. So I've interacted with both kinds. Well, there's 69mega.com again. Well, guess what, dude? Or several dudes or whatever. You're going to get in timeout again because I'm tired of this shit. So it's very annoying. Okay. Texas, you say it was definitely odd. Dirk, you say, nah, Hoover was a solid filmmaker and proved it with his second film, Eaten Alive, in my opinion. Now, I may be in the minority here, but I was really excited about watching Eaten Alive after I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I think maybe that was the downfall for me with Eaten Alive, because I didn't like Eaten Alive as well as I did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It just, to me, did not have the same feel. It's not a horrible film. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it didn't work for me as well as Texas Chainsaw Massacre did. Texas, you say Eaten Alive is great. Red, you say, I gotta be honest, the only Chainsaw Massacre film that I like is the very first one. Maybe I'll check it in the chat if I'm not tired after Better Call Saul. Oh, that's cool, Red. John, you say the dinner scene is number one in the perfect descent into madness. Exactly. Dirk, you say there is a reason Spielberg chose him for Poltergeist. I know people talk shit, but Hooper was there every day for Poltergeist. I can believe it. John, you say the hitchhiker pickup and discussion with the do music is the point of no return for the kids. No Eating Alive hate, Texas. I'm not going into the realm of hate with it. I'm just saying that it didn't work for me as well as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No hate there. No hate at all. I think Brandon's coming in here. But anyway, back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. From the beginning scene with the flashes from the camera, and you can hear the kind of and grunting in the background, and you know down deep that's the person that's taking these damn photos, these damn gruesome photos. Then you find out that corpses were removed from their final resting places, and well, that person ain't gonna give up, are they? Or this bot's not gonna give up. Okay. It's just quicker for me to like put them in timeout than it is to remove every one of those separate messages. You say you're kidding, Texas. Durkee said, no, definitely is not TCM, but still a solid Southern horror film. I will agree with that, Dirk. John, you said, my first intro to this movie was seeing Terror in the Owls clips on IFC channel in the 90s. Interesting. Because I don't even think I had seen Terror in the Owls. Well, I definitely watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the years preceding being able to see Terror in the Owls. So I can't say that that's. I must have seen previews or a trailer or something on another VHS that I rented, or it was just, somebody else mentioned that they had seen it and was talking about this movie. Somehow I heard about it. I don't think this was one my parents saw before I did, though. Um, I do remember my Aunt Sandy, who was my movie watching buddy for a long time. If I remember correctly, she wasn't too wowed by this movie. It was just okay for her. But me, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Just like I said, from those first scenes where you just see little flashes of the corpses every time the camera flashes. And I love that. I love what Tobe Hooper did with that. Then, like I said, we move on. We find out people's family members were actually, their graves were desecrated and dug up. And we see this grotesque display of a corpse. How you would do that with a corpse, I mean, I don't really want to know exactly how somebody would do that with a corpse, but where the corpse wouldn't just fall apart, but I guess it takes skill. And, we find out later that the hitchhiker was the one that did that. And Jim Seedow, the cook, who there was some confusion. I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I'm starting to remember things as I'm going on through this. Some people were confused about whether Jim Seedow's character was the dad or another brother. Now, I came to understand that he was the older brother of Leatherface and the hitchhiker. He sort of takes on a dad role, of punishing the other two and getting on them and all that. But I think the more you watch it, it's clear that he is the older brother of the other two. But some people did think that he was the dad. Durkee say, no, definitely is not. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry, Dirk. Texas, you say, Terror in the Isles is great. Too short, in my opinion. I agree, too. John, you say, honestly, compared to today, this movie would be PG-13. It's tame. Yeah, it is definitely tame compared with a lot of movies that are out now, a lot of movies that have come out in the last few years. Durkee said, my aunt and uncle live in Henderson, Texas, and we would drive by this old house. They messed with me saying it was the slaughterhouse. Durkee say, yes, he's her older brother. But, so then you're introduced to these kids in a van. Paul Partain's character, Franklin, Marilyn Burns, Sally, who's Franklin's sister, her boyfriend, Jerry, who's driving the van, Kirk, or Kurt. I always forget if it's Kirk or Kurt. I want to say it's Kirk. Kirk and Pam, who are friends and of the other people, maybe not so much friends of Franklin. Franklin, bless his heart, is really a third wheel in this movie. And I mean, he knows it. He knows it. And the truth was that Paul Partain annoyed people so much during the making of this film that they could not even stand to be around him, because he really took on that Franklin role to the extreme, on and off set. And of course, Gunnar Hansen smelled so bad that nobody wanted to be around him because he literally had to keep wearing this same getup because they didn't have any others to switch him out with. So just think all that 100-degree or more heat, um, rotting meat around, plus he had to be sweating. Oh, heck yeah, the people are going to stink. Um, so, like I said a little bit earlier, I think everybody involved that's still living has mellowed now. But if you ever saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Shocking Truth, I think things were a little raw then, especially when you hear Ed Neal, the hitchhiker, talk about the making of the film. But it's a good little documentary. There's also Texas Chainsaw Massacre: A Family Portrait. Both of those I'd highly recommend if you have not seen them. Um, but the movie itself is only 83 minutes long. And in all honesty, this film seems to move at such a rapid pace. To me, there are no slow spots in this film. But it seems to move at such a rapid pace that it doesn't even seem 83 minutes long. It seems like bam, the beginning scene, and then bam, again, you're at the dinner scene. And if anything seems to last a long time, it's that damn dinner scene. And that works for the movie because the torture of poor Marilyn Burns' character of Sally is drawn out. And you begin to feel like maybe you're losing your mind along with her. I had never ever seen a movie before or since that has a scene like that dinner scene. And there's just one thing happening on top of the other. You know, first, the cook, Jim Sedow's character, kidnaps her after she's already been chased by Leatherface, and Leatherface has killed her brother. So she thinks she's found refuge at the gas station and the barbecue place where they had stopped earlier trying to get gas earlier in the day. So she thinks that, maybe Drayton Sawyer's going to help her out. He's not. So he basically puts a bag over her head, beats her with a broom, takes her to his house, where she discovers, once they pull the bag off of her, that, oh, damn, it's that hitchhiker again, that crazy-ass hitchhiker that they threw out of their van earlier in the day. And he's part of this crazy-ass family. And Leatherface is part of this family, too. So that really starts the downward spiral for Sally's mental state. And again, I have never seen a scene before or since is filmed in such a way like that dinner scene was. Because not only are you introduced to these three crazy guys, then you get introduced to Grandpa, who you're not even sure if Grandpa's alive, he's dead, he's a little bit of both. What is going on with this guy? But boy, does he get excited when he tastes some blood. So when they cut Marilyn Burns' finger, or Sally's finger, and Grandpa starts sucking on it, I mean, it is so weird, and you can hear the sucking sounds and all of that. And you've already had the horrifying scene when Sally realizes who her captors are. Now you got crazy old Grandpa sucking on your bloody finger. And you have those scenes where Tobe Hooper really zooms in on Marilyn Burns' eyes, and they're going around and around and back and forth, and she's screaming, and they're meanwhile going, oh, and all that. And then that Drayton Sawyer seems to go back and forth between being partly sane and being just as crazy as the other two. Because he tells him, he says, "Shut up! You sound like a pack of hounds." And then the next scene, he's acting like I said, as crazy or crazier than they are. Um, so let me see what. John, you say, "I love how Drayton helps Sally, then beats her with the stick. LOL. Just crazy as hell." Exactly. That is exactly the stuff I'm talking about. He seems sane, and then he seems batshit crazy, and then he goes back to being a little bit sane and batshit crazy again. Um, Doug, you say, "I got to meet Terry McMahon and Kim Hinkle back in May this year at Texas Frightmare. They were both so down to earth. Great experience." Yeah, and I'm not. Don't take this a bad way when I say this about Terry McMahon, because she has every right to run her Facebook pages the way, any way that she wants. They're her pages. But I don't know if, Dirk, if you noticed that Terry McMahon has two different Facebook pages. She has her personal page, and she has like Chainsaw Pam uh, page. Um, and she specifically says on one or the other, or maybe both, that if you talk to her about Texas Chainsaw Massacre on her personal Terry McMahon page, she will pretty much unfriend you. That she only wants you talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the Chainsaw Pam page. So I just always thought that was kind of odd, but it's like she can keep that stuff separate if she wants. But I was like, boy, I hope nobody like messes up and talks to her about, "Hey, yeah, Terry McMahon, what do you think about this about Chainsaw?" You're unfriended, you know. So I mean, she may very well have a good reason for doing this. Maybe people, maybe some real freakos were coming on her regular page and starting, or maybe they were somehow getting her address and sending her some dead kittens in a box or something. I don't know. But usually I don't hear people um, expressing that they want to keep the two things separate in quite that way. That was the only thing odd I ever saw about Terry McMahon. And like I said, she can run her Facebook pages any way she wants, and she can make rules any rules that she wants. Um, so I'm totally not saying she's not nice and down to earth. Dark, you say, "Yeah, he likes to torture, he just won't kill." LOL. Johnny say, "They are working on a movie about the making of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of like how The Disaster Artist was about the movie The Room. Could be a fascinating story as long as they tell the truth and don't BS." Right. Uh, don't make up stories that didn't happen, right, if they make it. Yeah. Texas, you say, "First watch in a theater, it was truly frightening." Dirk, you say, "Gotta love the music Hooper came up with. Creepy as hell with all those weird instruments and random sounds." I agree, Dirk. You say, "Yes, I know she does. I reached out to her on her chainsaw page. She said because she's big into politics on her personal page." Ah, well, I don't know. Is she one of those hardcore Republicans or right wing Republicans, Dirk? Oh gosh, here's 69mega.com again. I figure they'll eventually get tired of me putting them in timeout. Okay, so what I've done is put them in timeout, and I've also hid their messages. So I'm just tired of fooling with them, frankly. Okay, so what else can I say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Other than this is a wonderful freaking film. I highly recommend it. If you have never seen it before, I say run, don't walk. Go out and find a copy of this to watch. Um, Joe Bob actually showed it on his Dinners of Death um, last drive-in special. John, you said nobody can remake this movie, not even Zombie, because one, it was a perfect time and place, and two, nobody is Tobe Hooper. He was a Texas guy with a great imagination and a vision for the story. You hit the nail on the head, John. Exactly. And I think that's why those remakes, those are the prime reasons why those remakes were crap, in my opinion. John, you say Rob Zombie and so many others try to make that style of movie and fail. I think CK said that before, and I gotta agree. I agree too, totally, John. Um, so I am getting ready to move on to the second film in the series. But I did want to talk about some special features that are on this release, even though, like I said before, I'm eagerly anticipating the 4K release. I wanted to get that German release, but Diabolic keeps running out of them. Every time I think I'm going to get one, by the time I get the money to get it, it's bam, it's sold out again. Um, so in Second Sight coming out with a 4K of it, I may end up having to get it from them. So for the special features on this release, you get count on four feature commentaries. Writer, producer, director Tobe Hooper, actor Gunnar Hansen, cinematographer Daniel Pearl, actors Marilyn Burns, Alan Danziger, and Paul A. Partain, and production designer uh, Robert Burns. New commentary with writer and producer director Tobe Hooper. New commentary with cinematographer Daniel Pearl, editor Larry J. Carroll, and sound recordist Ted Nicolau. Then there's also a collector's edition bonus disc that has the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Shocking Truth. So if you haven't seen it and you want to get a hold of this copy, or you already have a copy of this, you can watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Shocking Truth on this bonus disc. You also get Flesh Wounds, 7 Stories of the Saw, a tour of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house with Gunnar Hansen, Off the Hook with Terry McMahon, The Business of Chainsaw, an interview with production manager Ron Bozeman, new deleted scenes and outtakes, Grandpa's Tales, an interview with John Dugan, Cutting Chainsaw, an interview with editor J. Larry Carroll, deleted scenes and outtakes, a blooper reel, outtakes from The Shocking Truth, Horror's Hallowed Grounds with Sean Clark, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Dr. W.E. Barnes presents Making Grandpa, a still gallery, 40th anniversary trailer, trailers, TV spots, and radio spots. Guys, I'm going to switch out the light because the light did go off. It did last approximately an hour. But I'm going to switch it out real quick. And honestly, guys, I don't know how long this light's going to last because for some reason it was acting like it wasn't charging. So we may not have this pretty image too awfully long. Let's see. Durkee say, no, she's a Democrat. I'm neither registered independent, but I'm more like Nada, and they live, we sleep, hate politics, laughing my ass off. I got you. I totally get that, Dirt. Brandon, you say the second one blew my mind. I saw the 74 uh, in in '03 one first and was expecting scary and got a weird comedy love story. I like it now, but was just confused when I first saw it. And damn autocorrect. I understand, Brandon. John, you say Don May or someone said there's some unreleased and alternate footage for TCM sitting at University of Texas at Austin. Someone needs to enroll there for a semester and borrow some of that and rip it. Yeah, exactly. Johnny say film to DVD, LOL. Johnny say I would imagine that footage is under lock and key in reality. Probably so. Um, so with that being said, you guys can continue to chat even about the first one if you like, but I'm going to move on to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. This is the Scream Factory release. Whatever you may think about Scheme Factory, Scream Factory, whatever you want to call it, Shit Factory, I don't know. Most of their stuff, I know, they kind of treat fans like cattle, like they're herding cattle. I mean, I will admit to that. But they do put out quality product a lot of times, and yeah, that like just poo pooed out. So just bear with me. It's going to be a little fuzzy on this side, guys. So the buzz is back. That was kind of the tagline for this. In 1974, horror fans rejoiced upon the release of Tobe Hooper's masterpiece. I can't even talk. Masterpiece, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The movie raised the stakes of in-your-face filmmaking and changed the face of horror. 12 years later, Hooper and Sawyer and the Sawyer clan are back with this deviously entertaining sequel starring Dennis Hopper in one of the most deliciously crazed performances of his career. For a decade, Texas Ranger Lefty Enright, played by Hopper, has sought to avenge the brutal murder of his kin by the cannibalistic Sawyer family, Leatherface, Chop Top, the cook, and Grandpa. So, Chop Top is a new introduction to the film because, as we all know, the hitchhiker, played by Ed Neal, was killed and run down by a truck in the first one. But he does kind of return as Nubbins in this, or his corpse does rather. With the help of a radio DJ played by Caroline Williams, who's also been on Putting an End to the Terror, Lefty finds his way to the Sawyer's underground slaughter shop, where a battle of epic proportions will soon rage, and the line between good and evil gets chopped to bits. So, Gunnar Hansen does not play Leatherface in this one. Tobe Hooper does return to direct it. And Golan and Globus, the Canon guys, are the ones responsible for producing this. And as said, Dennis Hopper and Caroline Williams are a pretty big part of this this film. Unfortunately, as we all know at this point in time, the very nice man who plays LG in the movie, Caroline Williams, guy that helps her with her radio show, was sadly killed. Murdered would be the term I would use in this case, by a very evil individual. I think his car was stolen and maybe he tried to get it back and the person killed him, basically. So that was very sad. When I found out about that, I was really, really bummed out about it. So, Bob Elmore is the stuntman who plays Leatherface this time around, and no, in my opinion, nobody could replace Gunnar Hansen. This time, like I said, they used a stuntman. Gunnar Hansen was not a stuntman. And we talked last night when we were talking about the Halloween series about Dick Warlock is a stuntman, and he's great as the Shape in Halloween 2. But and Kane Hodder is awesome as Jason in the later Friday the 13th. But that does not stand to reason that every stuntman is going to, perform perfectly in these roles. And so I think Gunnar Hansen gave Leatherface the heart that character needed, because he was not a stuntman. He was a big, tall guy, a very imposing figure. But I had heard he was more, Gunnar Hansen was more of a teddy bear than he was a rough hombre or whatever you want to call him. Um, so, I mean, he was writing poetry up in Maine for years. So, but he had the stature for this, and he also had a natural ability to be able to handle the Leatherface character. And I just don't think that anybody since has been able to recreate that, unfortunately. I'm not saying Bob Elmore didn't do a decent job. He did do a decent job. And I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. Um, let's see. Let's look at this. John, you say, I don't hate them. It's just a hit or miss at times. I can't wait for the 4K since I only got the MGM Blu ray. Dark, you say, most don't know their last name was Slaughter in the first film. I didn't until a year ago. Gunnar Hansen, Kim Hinkle confirmed. My mind was blown. Yeah. John, you say, no joke. My first time seeing this was renting it with Happy Gilmore with a middle school friend. We were watching this in bumfuck Mississippi and were scared to go outside after. Darky says, Sawyer name is introduced in part 2. Darky say, Gunner's book, Chainsaw Confidential. I do have that book. Confirms the Slaughter name for part 1. John, you say, nice, Dirk. I didn't know he confirmed that. John, you say, I just assumed it was changes. Dirk, you say, if it wasn't for Marilyn Burns, Gunner wouldn't have been Leatherface. Exactly. John, you say, best character is My Aching Banana. I love that guy. The guy that owns the store where Dennis Hopper goes to, or Lefty goes to get the chainsaws. Yeah, I love it. Chainsaw shop owner looking all confused and excited. Okay, guys, I hate to step away again, but I'm going to put the lovely Evil Dead background up for a second, and I'm going to go get me some more medicine because I'm starting to hurt my throat, and stuff is starting to hurt again, starting to ache other places. Going to refresh my Mountain Dew as well, so I will be right back. So sorry, guys. Um, there, I ran into some issues with the dogs, of course, and um, I saw that they didn't entirely get rid of that Joker. So, um, I mean, it deletes the messages and stuff, but like this main thing, but so annoying. Okay. Brandon, you said the deleted scenes for two are bizarre. Yeah, but there is like one really cool deleted scene that Joe Bob Briggs is in, which I love. Um, and for the longest time, the only way you could see that deleted scene was on the laser disc. So I really, that was one of the primary reasons I got a laser disc player, was so that I could get Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on Laserdisc way back when and be able to see that Joe Bob Briggs deleted scene. Dark, you say, you ever notice the gas station sign, "We Slaughter," laughing my ass off? Actually, I made something that has that on there. Uh, I think it said "We Slaughter Barbecue" or something, and I put it on a little wood thing where it looks like a wooden sign, and I put it out for the Halloween decorations. I think I still put it out for the Halloween decorations. Um, but yeah, so the buzz is definitely back with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and I like the addition of the Texas Ranger Lefty Enright, um, and how that he is the uncle of Sally and Franklin. I mean, some people might not like that, but I thought that Dennis Hopper did a phenomenal job with it. Um, and I think Caroline Williams was great in this. She turns out to be the Sally character of this one. Only Caroline Williams is not tortured in a dinner scene like poor Sally Hardesty was. Um, so, I mean, she's tortured in other ways, kind of. But one scene, you guys were talking about the "Oh My Aching Banana" chainsaw shop owner scene. Another scene that I always really enjoyed, and I remember me and my dad just laughing at this and kind of quoting it after the movie was over, and that was when Chop Top, played by Bill Moseley, breaks into the radio station, and well, basically him and Leatherface break into the radio station, and Leatherface pretty much dispatches LG. And then Chop Top like appears out of nowhere with a Sonny Bono wig, or he calls it a Sonny Bono wig, and like a tie dye shirt and stuff. It's like really super crazy attire. And so all the while he's talking to a very frightened Caroline Williams as Stretch. Um, he carries this coat hanger with him, and he kind of lights one end of it or heats it with a lighter, and then he scratches on his head because he's got a metal plate in his head, and then he takes a taste of the skin, I guess, the charred skin that comes off. It's like he's doing this the whole time he's talking to her, and he's like, "You're my fave, and music is my life." And like Bill Moseley is the perfect guy to play this part. Bill Moseley is another one of those very versatile actors that he can play really evil characters like the Otis character from House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects and stuff, uh, and Three from Hell and all that. Um, but he can also play uh, characters who are part sadistic and part humorous, as he does with Chop Top. So he picked up right where Ed Neal left off, and it is awesome. And I met Bill Moseley, I don't know, a couple of years back, 2 or 3 years ago, and he was so great. And like he asked me, did I want him to put any quotes on the picture I was getting? And of course, it was a Texas, I believe it was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 picture that I was having him sign. And so I was like, oh, there's so many great lines, and I don't know. So he starts acting them out right in front of me in the middle of this convention. It is so awesome. I love Bill Moseley. Um, and when he got to the one, lick my plate, you dog dick, I was like, that's the one I want you to put on there. And every time I tell my mom about that, she's like, oh gosh, Dana, I can't believe you did that. Uh, get that sex bot, Bubba. Yeah, we need Bubba in here. Yes, Dirk. Yes, that's exactly the one that I got put on my picture. Lick my plate, you dog dick. And I mean, he did it just like he did in the movies. Like, lick my plate, you dog dick. Johnny say, yeah, for real. Zombie just ripped off Chop Top with this Firefly shit. He really did, it seems like. Brandon, you say they should have kept the deleted scene where Leatherface kills all those people outside the food truck and Joe Bob scenes. Yeah. Dirk, you say Bill Moseley is great in Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. Bill Moseley is great in everything he's in. I can't, like, remember when Tom Savini did The Night of the Living Dead 1990 or Night of the Living Dead 90? Guess who he got to play the Johnny character? Bill freaking Moseley. Because he knew Bill Moseley is a man. Johnny say, ha, yeah, Brandon, those things were interesting. So you basically have Caroline Williams' character of Stretch being a little more beefed up Sally character. Um, Only I felt like when Stretch loses her mind and is doing the chainsaw dance at the end, sorry, spoiler. Um, I feel like that maybe Marilyn Burns' Sally character might have recovered, but I'm not so sure that Stretch is going to ever recover from this. Um, but the whole epic underground caves that they've got, that the Sawyer family has, and all of that is just awesome. The extra comedy that's added in there with Drayton Sawyer getting the winning the first prize and or grand prize or whatever in the chili cook off, and the chick that's like announcing the winner, and she's eating some of the chili and there's something hard, and we all know it's a bone in there, but he's like, yeah, that's one of them hard shell peppercorns. So there's a lot more humor, albeit dark humor, but there's a lot more humor in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 than there is the original film. But in my opinion, it really works for the film, not against the film. I like what Toby Hooper did with it, even though Toby Hooper really didn't want to do this one. You know, I think he considered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre a one-off. You didn't need any sequels, but you know what happens when things get a little bit successful, or people are starting to take notice of them, either or. You know what movie studios are going to want to do. They're going to want to keep making more of them. So I believe that Toby Hooper might have been contractually obligated to do this. It might have been one of those things where they said, if you want to do this, if you want to do X, Y, Z, you got to do W. You know what I'm saying? Oh, right. Yes, it is a Tooth, Texas. Sorry about that. But he does say it's, yeah, one of those hard shell peppercorns. And he just kind of tries to skirt the whole thing. Um, John, you said the soundtrack of this movie is good too. I have the new score and the original vinyl from the 80s. It's kind of punk rock stuff. Yeah, now the original vinyl from the 80s, John, I can't remember if we've talked about this before. Does it have that Shame song on it by Timbuk3 or whatever that group is? Because I wish they had been able to be included on the score, the new one that came, the new vinyl that came out. Um, Dirk, you say, you know, the truck driver Ed Gwynn is in part two at the chili cook off. Oh, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that, but yeah, you're right. John, you said the critics of this were so dumb. It's clearly a comedy satire. It took years for critics to figure out, oh, it's a comedy. Yeah. John, you said Toby knew he had to go 180 on the tone. Exactly. Darky said, I asked Ed Gwynn what happened to him at the end of TCM 74. He said he joined the family. Okay, so it has that one and a Cramp song. So I would really like to get a hold of that original one too. Excuse me. Um, but again, I think everybody knows the plot of all of these that I'm going to talk about tonight. So I'm not going to keep going on about the plot. Other than to say that if you have not seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, again, run, don't walk and get this because I really think, I mean, this is totally my opinion, but it holds up even now. I think whether Toby Hooper wanted to make it or not, it's a worthy successor to his original film. I like the extra added comedy. I really can't think of anything that I don't like in this movie. But I'm going to talk about the special features that are on this. You get two discs. This one has a new 2K HD scan from the Inner Positive Film Element, new audio commentary with director of photography Richard Corus, production designer Kerry White, script supervisor Laura Corus, and property master Michael Sullivan. Audio commentary with director Toby Hooper. Audio commentary with actors Bill Moseley, Caroline Williams, and special effects makeup creator Tom Savini. And yes, Tom Savini did do the special effects for this one. Disc 2 has the original HD master supervised by director of photography Richard Corus. A new House of Pain, an interview with makeup effects artist Bart Mixon, Gabe Bartalos, and Gino Crognell. New Yuppie Meat, an interview with actors Chris Doritas and Barry Kenyon. New Cutting Moments, an interview with editor Elaine Jakubowicz. New Behind the Mask, an interview with stuntman and Leatherface former Bob Elmore. A new Horror's Hallowed Grounds with Sean Clark revisiting the locations of the film. It runs in the family, an 85-minute documentary. So, pretty much a feature-length documentary. Alternative opening credit sequence, the deleted scenes, and more. And that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Texas, you say goo goo muck. Dirk, you say, yeah, definitely a dark comedy. Love the scene with Nubs laughing my ass off. I do too. John, you say the commentary on this is funny. One with Bill Moseley when Drayton is driving the truck on the road and talking on the phone, and Bill is like, "I was on the road, Jimmy or Jim." Yeah, I know. He's just, I love Bill Moseley. I said that already, I know, but yeah. Um, John, you say same, Dirk. Okay, so feel free to keep commenting on any and all the films that we've talked about, including the one I'm about to talk about now, which is the third one in the series, and that's Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. You see the tagline, "The Saw is Family." This is the DVD version because sadly I do not yet have a Blu-ray version of this. But it does have the R-rated and unrated versions on here. Um, Texas say nubbins. Where's that fuck you, Charlie? um, so it also has the tagline, he puts the teeth in terror. Um, William Butler is on this, Ken Foray, Kate Hodge, Viggo Mortensen, and R.A. Mihailoff as Leatherface. This is also directed by Jeff Burr, who I have. Steve might have met Jeff Burr at. I thought they had Jeff Burr at Darkwoods. So Steve might have very well met him then. This was written by David Shaw. So let me give you a little plot on this. A pair of college students driving coast to coast are lured off the main highway and onto a deserted Texas road. Here they are stopped by the menacing Leatherface and his demented family, a bizarre cannibalistic clan with blood on their hands and a feast on their minds. Their only chance for escape is a survivalist with enough firepower to blast Leatherface and the rest of the grisly predators to hell. A depraved shocker of intense terror from the gruesome beginning to the bloody finish. The rated R version is 81 minutes, while the unrated is 86 minutes. Now, Tobe Hooper pretty much didn't have anything to do with this one. Like I said, it was directed by Jeff Burr, who I think Jeff Burr did an adequate job of doing this one. But the creative consultant was Kim Hinkle, so they did have that connection with Kim Hinkle. But although I never hated this movie, I still like to watch it occasionally. Not as much as the first two, but it's a worthy entry into the series. And I always remember that trailer for this one that looks like it's gonna be like a romantic type thing, and then Leatherface turns around and the chainsaw's, you know. Does anybody remember that trailer? Or am I the only one that remembers that one? John, you say this one is fine. I've seen it a good bit and think it's scary in parts. Right. And a lot of it, takes place at night. As most of the action takes place in the darker hours on the other movies as well. But it does work. Like I said, Jeff Burr did a good job with it. And Kim Hinkle does have a connection with it. It's got some good actors in it. I can't, I didn't have time to really go through a refresher with this movie. I wanted to, but I got busy doing other things and then didn't get to sit down and watch it. But I remember R.A. Mihailoff doing a okay job as Leatherface. But again, I will say there's no substitute for Leatherface or for Gunnar Hansen when it comes to Leatherface. You can put anybody in that role, and I'll still wish it had been Gunnar Hansen. But I think Gunnar Hansen was long past the time when he wanted to play Leatherface. That time had come and gone for him. Dirk, you say that Chainsaw Confidential is pretty hard to get at a reasonable price. It's on Amazon for $179.84. Wow, I'm glad I got my copy. I have a paperback copy that I got, and it was reasonably priced. Wow. Brandon, you say, I feel so bad for Jeff Burr. The behind-the-scenes drama with New Line and MPAA is sad. The work print footage looks so good. It's a shame New Line did him dirty. Yeah, it is really a shame when these movie studios do people dirty, and it's not them that ends up getting hurt in the end. It's the filmmakers themselves who end up getting hurt, and then in turn the fans end up getting hurt in the process. Dougie said the King Arthur trailer or the saw comes out of the water is what I remember. Yeah, I remember that one too. Brandon, you say Ken Foray was good in this. I think Ken Foray is good in most things. Um, some people kind of, you know, not everybody, but I've heard some people talk about Ken Foray like he's I don't know, like a poor man's Tony Todd or something, And I think Ken Foray is a great actor in his own right. John, you say the intros get more and more silly with Sawyer, Slaughter, W.E. Sawyer, Bubba Slaughter. The name changes, haha, it's always a slight change. Exactly. Dirk, you say, yeah, part 3 is a fun one for me. Yeah, it's definitely fun and introduces you to some more members of this crazy ass family. Because you no longer have Jim Seedow in here at this point. You have an introduction of, I believe, a little girl in this one. So, yeah, it is a worthy entry into the series. And I wish I had, taken the time to rewatch this for you guys, so I'd be better able to talk about it. But I do, like I said, I do remember enough about it that I can say that it works for me. Not my favorite in the series, but it still works. And God bless Jeff Burr for doing the best job that he could under the conditions he was under. Um, there are a few special features on this DVD. You get the rated and unrated versions of the film, of course. It's in widescreen. You get 5.1 surround sound or DTS 6.1 surround sound. Filmmaker commentary, the Solace family, making of Leatherface documentary. We know what to do with them parts, deleted scenes, an alternate ending, theatrical trailers, and there's also some DVD ROM content. So I would definitely recommend that you watch this if you've never seen it. And maybe if it's been a while, pull that sucker back out and watch it again, because I do find it enjoyable. And I am going to eventually get the Blu ray of this. Let's see. John, you said I didn't meet Ken, but took someone else's pic of him and them for a person. I was in the Joe Bob line at the time. John, you say he seemed nice. And I'm sure he is a nice guy. Dirk, you say Ken Foray is a good actor. I believe can't understand why anyone would say otherwise. Yeah, and it's not a lot of people. It's, just a couple of people here and there that I've heard say things that indicated that they didn't think he was really that good of an actor. Hey, Darren, you made it. I'm just about to talk about the last film that I was planning on discussing tonight. I don't think we're going to go on quite as long as we did with the Halloween films last night. But the last one I'm going to cover is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, which has the distinction of having both Matthew McConaughey and oh my gosh, totally forgetting here. Hold on, I'm going to bring this up on IMDb since I don't have a visual for it. Renee Zellweger, that's who I was going to say. It has the distinction of having Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey, both, I guess, who didn't want their names on this for a long time. Or maybe their managers, agents, whatever, didn't want on there. So, a little plot on Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. A group of teenagers get into a car crash in the Texas woods on prom night and then wander into an old farmhouse that's home to Leatherface, played by Robert Jacks, and his insane family of cannibalistic psychopaths. So, the director in this case was Kim Hinkle, who had a direct connection with the original film. So, it's got that going for it. This movie features Matthew McConaughey in one of his most insane roles, in my opinion. Um, Matthew McConaughey, I love, you know. Plus, I think when he's not playing a crazy ass like he is in here, he's a very nice looking man. And this is just my opinion. But um, Renee Zellweger, I was not really a fan of her work at any point in time. I mean, she's an adequate actress. I'm not saying that. But I still, I wasn't like, oh, wow, Renee Zellweger was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. I was like, wow, Matthew McConaughey was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Um, Although, again, this is not my favorite of the series, um, it's a fun little, you know how sometimes you take the long way home? That's what I think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. It's the cinema equivalent of taking the long way home. You see things that you never saw, that you never see on your regular route. Okay, um, so Kim Hinkle added a lot of like really quirky, off the wall craziness in this one. It is listed as a comedy horror thriller. I love what it's rated R for. It's rated R for demented mayhem and torture and for strong language. So, a little trivia about this, since this was one I didn't get to do a little refresher for as well. So, when asked about this movie, Renee Zellweger said it was dangerous. I don't know if any of it was legal. It was a great workout. Running from a guy with a live chainsaw is excellent motivation. It was a lot of fun. It was my first role, really. I couldn't believe that somebody was going to trust me with that somebody was going to take this chance on me. I was really grateful. I have no shame about that movie. Matthew McConaughey had just graduated from college, and he was planning on moving to California when he auditioned for this movie. He read for the part of a young motorcyclist who rescues Jenny at the end and rides off with her into the sunset. Very interesting. A role that was eventually eliminated. Before he left, writer and producer director Kim Hinkle asked if he knew of anyone who might be right for the role of the villain, Vilmer. McConaughey suggested two friends from acting class and left. He was about to get in his truck and drive to California when he stopped and realized, what was I thinking? He immediately turned around and asked Hinkle, can I audition for Vilmer? Hinkle gave him a spoon from the kitchen, told him to pretend it's a knife, and tasked him with scaring his secretary. Then in the middle of the audition, he told him to pretend his mechanical leg was malfunctioning. McConaughey was so convincing that he won the role of Vilmer on the spot. Also, despite the title, absolutely zero people are massacred via chainsaw. And also, Renee Zellweger said in 2016, it was very low budget, so we all shared a tiny Winnebago that the producer of the film, it belonged to him. It was his personal camper. So, makeup was in the front seats, and there was a table in the middle for hair, and there was a tiny little curtain by the bathroom. That was where you put your prom dress and your flower on. It was ridiculous how we pulled that off. I have no idea. I'm sure none of it was legal. Anything we did was a little bit dangerous, but what an experience. It was kamikaze filmmaking. So here's essentially what happened with them. I was looking at this trivia. So Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger came to fame 2 years later with A Time to Kill and Jerry Maguire, respectively. So they both shared the same talent agency. When Sony, which owned this movie's distribution rights, was preparing to release it, highlighting the pair, their agent threatened a lawsuit against the studio, claiming their clients were being unfairly exploited, which is bullshit, in my opinion. The agency also said that if Sony released this movie on the backs of their names, neither would appear in any future Sony releases. The film was eventually given a brief, limited theatrical release in September 1997. And also, here's some more trivia for you. I did remember Marilyn Burns being in the hospital scene at the end. But it also featured 2 actors and 1 actress from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. John Dugan, who played grandfather in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is the cop. Paul A. Partain, who played Franklin Hardesty in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is the orderly. And Marilyn Burns, who played Sally Hardesty in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is the patient on the gurney, credited as anonymous. So this was also intended by writer, producer, director Kim Hinkle to be the real sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The characters of Vilmer and W.E. were intended to be the hitchhiker and cook characters from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Jim Sedow was approached to reprise his role as the cook, but was unable to. And did you know that Matthew McConaughey says his dazed and confused catchphrase, all right, all right, all right, in this movie? But there's a bunch of other trivia. I'm not going to sit here and read tons of trivia for you. I just wanted to read a few of those things off. Derek, you say you're going to get the Vinegar Syndrome Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 4K. Well, heck yeah, I am, Dirk. I'm definitely going to do that. John, you say he was the fucking man in Dawn of the Dead. Yes, he was. Darren, you say, that's okay. I will catch the rest tomorrow. Yeah, because I leave this shit up on YouTube. So, yeah, you can definitely watch it at any point in time. Unless YouTube blows up, and I record all these things anyway, so even if it's lost, it won't really be lost. Dirk, you say, I got that black Jell-O set and haven't dug into it yet, but going to soon. John, you say, you should watch the documentary on this movie. It's on YouTube, free. Fascinating stuff. I'll have to check that out. Darren, you say, Dirk, I'm planning on watching that soon as well. Brandon, you say, this one is a get stoned and watch kind of movie. Laughably bad. I know a lot of people consider this a queer horror classic, but it's a stinker in my opinion. Dirk, you say, part 4 brought the original name back. There's not much else. LOL. John, you said, the guy who did it mediated the commentary on TCM4. Kim is very quiet and almost apprehensive to answer questions, and the documentary guy is kind of calling him out. It's weird and awkward, LOL. Yeah, that does sound like one of those weird, awkward things. John, you say Kim almost seems embarrassed. Dirk, you say, I bet John, I would be too. Darren, you said, part 4 is bad, but I like it more than most people. Darren, you know how we like a lot of stuff the same, so I probably like it about on the same level you do. Dirk, you say, yeah, Darren, Stendhal Syndrome was a dumpster fire headed down the Schitt's Creek. I'll never get that 2 hours back. Darren, you say, I really like Texas 3D, though, for what it's worth. The last two films have been awful, though. Yeah, that one, Texas 3D or Texas Chainsaw, whichever way you want to refer to it, I don't think that one's an awful film, but I'm not covering it tonight only because I don't think it really fits in with the rest of these that I'm talking about. Dirk, you say, I believe this is old Curly's favorite. Well, probably old Curly's favorite, to be honest. And I'm not making fun of him in any way, shape, or form. It's probably that horrible 2022 one that what was on Netflix not very long ago. Ooh, lordy, that was bad. That was real bad. I would almost be willing to say that that was worse than those original remakes. Whew, bad, bad. Yes, drag queen Leatherface, Brandon. Exactly. Um, Again, I wish I had had a chance to like give myself a refresher, but I remember my favorite character being in there being Vilmer, the Matthew McConaughey character, just because he was so off the wall crazy, batshit crazy, whatever you want to say. And he was mean too. He was beating up on that woman all the time. Remember, she was like, she would, he would be almost, he was never really normal in this film at all. He was always crazy, but sometimes he'd be a little bit more scaled back, I guess, and then he'd get the look in his eyes and he would just go crazy all over again. Um, so I liked it. There is no, there's no substitute for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I will reiterate that. And that will always be the one, the only, the classic for me. Um, it's at the top of any favorite horror films list I could have. Um, if I'm thinking right, there's actually, isn't there like a copy of, or am I just thinking of like Night of the Living Dead or something? I was thinking that this was in the art museum or let me see here. Maybe I'm wrong. I was thinking it was, but anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. But something I did want to mention there on the soundtrack. There's a song called Two Headed Dog, written and performed by Rocky Erickson, who I know many of you probably know who that is. Um, Darren, you say, Dirk, I'm surprised you didn't like Stendhal. Dirk, you say, I guess I figured it out pretty quick, and Aja's acting was pretty bad. John, you say, I heard a story about Matthew McConaughey talking the crew into going tubing and drinking next day after a long set, and they were all worn out and hungover during filming. LOL. I could see it. And I could imagine Matthew McConaughey doing that as well. Um, so, I guess we've reached the end, or I've reached the end of the majority of the discussion that I wanted to do on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series of films, or at least the ones that I felt deserved to be covered, I guess I should say. Um, and I'd be willing to stay on here for a few more minutes if you guys want to, comment, ask any questions. I might be able to answer them, or uh, some suggestions if you got any suggestions for any future live streams. Um, I don't know, but I'm not anticipating doing a stream tomorrow night. But I will be doing my Cheese Extreme Wednesday on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And then, of course, we will be having the Rocktober Blood watch along on Saturday. No, no, Dirk. No, not going to talk about that awful thing. I can't. Darren, you say, I would say give it another go in a few months' time. It's really grown on me, but I respect your opinion. Or Leatherface, LOL. You're not talking about this one, though, right? Because I always refer to that one as Leatherface. Because, well, um, but if you're talking about something different, Dark, I do apologize because I thought Leatherface was that one, part 3. Uh, but yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about that awful Netflix Chainsaw Massacre. Ugh. No, not that one. Okay, so I must be missing one. Which one? Which one is the Leatherface that you were talking about? Oh, Leatherface 2017. It was probably so bad I just blocked it out of my memory, to be honest. I don't even know if I watched it. Oh, I know that. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I did not watch it. I did not watch that. That was the one that Wes was joking that you're going to see Leatherface squirt out of his mommy or something. Or Leatherface is a teenager. And Brandon, you say Charles B. Pierce's films Town That Dreaded Sundown, Boggy Creek, and The Evictors would be a cool stream. I think it would, Brandon. That is a good idea. Because I don't think I've ever really talked about The Evictors except briefly, and I love The Evictors. The Evictors to me is creepier than Town That Dreaded Sundown, Boggy Creek combined, although I enjoy those as well. Yeah, the origin story. Laughing my ass off. Darren, you say, I love Town That Dreaded Sundown. I do too. And I believe it or not, I like the remake or reimagining, whatever you want to call it. I actually like that one. Whereas most of the time, I don't like the remakes. John, you say, I watched October Blood finally on Shudder prior to next weekend. Killer music. The story ain't that bad. It's all about them. Yeah. I think it's a fun little movie. You say it's all about the music. Um, I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Those of you that are able to come to the watch along, and then for those of you that aren't able to, um, you can always watch it on the replay or whatever you want to call it. Darren, you say, yeah, a remake was decent, kind of like Scream. Yeah, exactly. But I think it is officially 10:02 now, and I think I'm feeling slightly better, but still feeling kind of rough. So I think I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. But I thank all of you guys for joining me tonight to talk about some of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, including the 1974 classic. Um, and But let me read these last few things that you guys are commenting on in here. John, you say, I'm determined to get that fucking vinyl. I want it. I want it too. Dirk, you say, I'm thinking of doing a watch along for Sinful Dwarf. If you do that, Dirk, I might have to come to your watch along. John, you say an OG copy. Thank you, Darren. You have a good one too. Uh, so with that being said, guys, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, get me some hot soup, take me a hot shower, and relax a little bit because even though I'll be working from home tomorrow, I got to go back to work. I can't. I don't want to use all my sick days up because I might need them in a later time. So I will see all you guys on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now.